Hi, I see you're about to become smarter. This video will help you to improve your English language skills. So let's begin.
Freeze. Freeze. Freeze means turn or be turned into ice. Turn or be turned into ice. For example, in the winter the milk froze. In the winter the milk froze. Frighten. Frighten. Frighten means make someone afraid or anxious. Make someone afraid or anxious. For example, the savagery of his thoughts frightened him. The savagery of his thoughts frightened him. Fry. Fry. Fry means cook food in hot fat or oil. Cook food in hot fat or oil. For example, she fried a rasher of bacon, a sausage and a slice of bread. She fried a rasher of bacon, a sausage and a slice of bread. Fuel. Fuel. Fuel means supply with fuel. Supply with fuel. For example, the plan includes a hydroelectric plant to fuel a paper factory. The plan includes a hydroelectric plant to fuel a paper factory. Function. Function. Function means operate in particular way. Operate in particular way. For example, her liver is functioning normally. Her liver is functioning normally. Fund. Fund. Fund means provide with money. Provide with money. For example, the World Bank refused to fund the project. The World Bank refused to fund the project. Gain. Gain. Gain means obtain or secure something wanted. Obtain or secure something wanted. For example, the process has gained the confidence of the industry. The process has gained the confidence of the industry. Gather. Gather. Gather means come together. Come together. For example, a crowd gathered in the square. A crowd gathered in the square. Govern. Govern. Govern means conduct policy and affairs of state, organization, etc. Conduct policy and affairs of state, organization, etc. For example, he was incapable of governing the country. He was incapable of governing the country. Grab. Grab. Grab means grasp suddenly and roughly. Grasp suddenly and roughly. For example, she grabbed him by the shirt collar. She grabbed him by the shirt collar. Grade. Grade. Grade means classify or sort. Classify or sort. For example, they are graded according to thickness. They are graded according to thickness. Grant. Grant. Grant means agree to give or allow something requested, to Agree to give or allow something requested, to. For example, a letter granting them permission to smoke. A letter granting them permission to smoke. Guarantee. Guarantee. Guarantee means provide guarantee. Provide guarantee. For example, the con artist guarantees that the dirt pile will yield at least 20 ounces of gold. The con artist guarantees that the dirt pile will yield at least 20 ounces of gold. Guard. Guard. Guard means watch over to protect or control. Watch over to protect or control. For example, the gates were guarded by uniformed soldiers. The gates were guarded by uniformed soldiers. Hand. Hand. Hand means pick up and give to. Pick up and give to. For example, he handed each man a glass. He handed each man a glass. Handle. Handle. Handle means manipulate with hands. Manipulate with hands. For example, heavy paving slabs can be difficult to handle. Heavy paving slabs can be difficult to handle. Harm. Harm. Harm means physically injure. Physically injure. For example, the villains didn't harm him. The villains didn't harm him. Head. Head. Head means lead. Lead. For example, the Palm Sunday procession was headed by the crucifer. The Palm Sunday procession was headed by the crucifer. Hesitate. Hesitate. Hesitate means pause in indecision before saying or doing something. Pause in indecision before saying or doing something. For example, she hesitated, unsure of what to say. She hesitated, unsure of what to say. Highlight. Highlight. Highlight means draw attention to. Draw attention to. For example, the issues highlighted by the report. The issues highlighted by the report. Hire. Hire. Hire means employ someone. Employ someone. For example, management hired and fired labor in line with demand. Management hired and fired labor in line with demand. Host. Host. Host means act as host of. Act as host of. For example, Canada was asked to host a Commonwealth conference in Ottawa. Canada was asked to host a Commonwealth conference in Ottawa. House. House. House means provide with shelter or accommodation. Provide with shelter or accommodation. For example, we make exceptions to these rules if we need to house someone urgently. We make exceptions to these rules if we need to house someone urgently. Hunt. Hunt. Hunt means pursue and kill wild animal. Pursue and kill wild animal. For example, in the autumn they hunted deer. In the autumn they hunted deer. Hurry. Hurry. Hurry means move or act with great haste. Move or act with great haste. For example, we'd better hurry. We'd better hurry. Ignore. Ignore. Ignore means refuse to take notice of or acknowledge. Refuse to take notice of or acknowledge. For example, he ignored her outraged question. He ignored her outraged question. Illustrate. Illustrate. Illustrate means provide, book, newspaper, etc., with pictures. Provide, book, newspaper, etc., with pictures. For example, the guide is illustrated with full-color photographs. The guide is illustrated with full-color photographs. Implement. Implement. Implement means put into effect. Put into effect. For example, our recommendations were fully implemented. Our recommendations were fully implemented. Imply. Imply. Imply means indicate truth or existence of something by suggestion rather than explicit reference. Indicate truth or existence of something by suggestion rather than explicit reference. For example, nowhere in the abstract do the researchers imply a causal link. Nowhere in the abstract do the researchers imply a causal link. Import. Import. Import means bring goods or services into country. Bring goods or services into country. For example, Japan's reluctance to import more cars. Japan's reluctance to import more cars. Impose. Impose. Impose means force something to be accepted. Force something to be accepted. For example, the decision was theirs and was not imposed on them by others. The decision was theirs and was not imposed on them by others. Impress. Impress. Impress means make someone feel admiration. Make someone feel admiration. For example, they immediately impressed the judges. They immediately impressed the judges. Incorporate. Incorporate. Incorporate means include as part of whole. Include as part of whole. For example, he has incorporated in his proposals a large number of measures. He has incorporated in his proposals a large number of measures. Indicate. Indicate. Indicate means point out. Point out. For example, dotted lines indicate the text's margins. Dotted lines indicate the text's margins. Infer. Infer. Infer means deduce or conclude something from evidence and reasoning rather than from explicit statements. Deduce or conclude something from evidence and reasoning rather than from explicit statements. For example, it is possible to infer a trend from the figures. It is possible to infer a trend from the figures. Influence. Influence. Influence means have influence on. Have influence on. For example, sometimes simple changes in a business environment can influence behavior. Sometimes simple changes in a business environment can influence behavior. Inform. Inform. Inform means give someone facts or information. Give someone facts or information. For example, he wrote to her, informing her of the situation. He wrote to her, informing her of the situation. Inherit. Inherit. Inherit means receive property or title on someone's death. Receive property or title on someone's death. For example, she inherited a fortune from her father. She inherited a fortune from her father. Insist. Insist. Insist means demand something forcefully. Demand something forcefully. For example, she insisted on carrying her own bag. She insisted on carrying her own bag. Install. Install. Install means place or fix equipment or machinery in position ready for use. Place or fix equipment or machinery in position ready for use. For example, we're planning to install a new shower. We're planning to install a new shower. Interact. Interact. Interact means act in such way as to have effect on each other. Act in such way as to have effect on each other. For example, all the stages in the process interact. All the stages in the process interact. Interrupt. Interrupt. Interrupt means stop continuous progress of. Stop continuous progress of. For example, the buzzer interrupted his thoughts. The buzzer interrupted his thoughts. Invade. Invade. Invade means enter country etc. to subjugate it. Enter country etc. to subjugate it. For example, it was all part of a grander French plan to invade Ireland. It was all part of a grander French plan to invade Ireland. Investigate. Investigate. Investigate means carry out inquiry into incident etc. Carry out inquiry into incident etc. For example, police are investigating the alleged beating. Police are investigating the alleged beating. Iron. Iron. Iron means smooth clothes, sheets, etc. with iron. Smooth clothes, sheets, etc. with iron. For example, his face is scrubbed, his clothes are ironed and his hair is slicked down. His face is scrubbed, his clothes are ironed and his hair is slicked down. Isolate. Isolate. Isolate means cause to be apart from others. Cause to be apart from others. For example, a country that is isolated from the rest of the world. A country that is isolated from the rest of the world. Issue. Issue. Issue means supply or distribute. Supply or distribute. For example, licenses were issued indiscriminately to any company. Licenses were issued indiscriminately to any company. Judge. Judge. Judge means form opinion about. Form opinion about. For example, it is hard to judge whether such opposition is justified. It is hard to judge whether such opposition is justified. Justify. Justify. Justify means show to be right. Show to be right. For example, the person appointed has fully justified our confidence. The person appointed has fully justified our confidence. Key. Key. Key means enter data by means of keyboard. Enter data by means of keyboard. For example, not everyone can key data quickly and accurately. Not everyone can key data quickly and accurately. Kick. Kick. Kick means strike or propel with foot. Strike or propel with foot. For example, I kicked the ball up into the air. I kicked the ball up into the air. Kiss. Kiss. Kiss means touch with the lips. Touch with the lips. For example, he kissed her on the lips. He kissed her on the lips. Label. Label. Label means attach label to. Attach label to. For example, she labeled the parcels neatly, writing the addresses in capital letters. She labeled the parcels neatly, writing the addresses in capital letters. Lack. Lack. Lack means be without or deficient in. Be without or deficient in. For example, the novel lacks imagination. The novel lacks imagination. Launch. Launch. Launch means set boat in motion. Set boat in motion. For example, the town's lifeboat was launched to rescue the fishermen. The town's lifeboat was launched to rescue the fishermen. Lay. Lay. Lay means put down gently or carefully. Put down gently or carefully. For example, she laid the baby in his crib. She laid the baby in his crib. Lean. Lean. Lean means be in sloping position. Be in sloping position. For example, He leaned back in his chair. He leaned back in his chair. Level. Level. Level means give level surface to. Give level surface to. For example, contractors started leveling the ground for the new power station. Contractors started leveling the ground for the new power station. Lie. Lie. Lie means be in horizontal or resting position. Be in horizontal or resting position. For example, the man lay face downward on the grass. The man lay face downward on the grass. Limit. Limit. Limit means set limit to. Set limit to. For example, try to limit the amount you drink. Try to limit the amount you drink. Line. Line. Line means stand at intervals along. Stand at intervals along. For example, a processional route lined by people waving flags. A processional route lined by people waving flags. Load. Load. Load means fill vehicle, container, etc. with something. Fill vehicle, container, etc. with something. For example, they load up their dugout canoes. They load up their dugout canoes. Locate. Locate. Locate means discover exact place of. Discover exact place of. For example, engineers were working to locate the fault. Engineers were working to locate the fault. Maintain. Maintain. Maintain means preserve. Preserve. For example, the need to maintain close links between industry and schools. The need to maintain close links between industry and schools. Manufacture. Manufacture. Manufacture means make something on large scale with machinery. Make something on large scale with machinery. For example, a company that manufactured paint by number sets. A company that manufactured paint by number sets. Map. Map. Map means show area on map. Show area on map. For example, inaccessible parts will be mapped from the air. Inaccessible parts will be mapped from the air. Market. Market. Market means promote. Promote. For example, the product was marketed under the name aspirin. The product was marketed under the name aspirin. Master. Master. Master means learn. Learn. For example, I never mastered Latin. I never mastered Latin. Mate. Mate. Mate means copulate. Copulate. For example, Successful males may mate with many females. Successful males may mate with many females. Measure. Measure. Measure means determine size or amount. Determine size or amount. For example, the amount of water collected is measured in pints. The amount of water collected is measured in pints. Melt. Melt. Melt means make or become liquid by heat. Make or become liquid by heat. For example, the hot metal melted the wax. The hot metal melted the wax. Mistake. Mistake. Mistake means be wrong about. Be wrong about. For example, because I was inexperienced, I mistook the nature of our relationship. Because I was inexperienced, I mistook the nature of our relationship. Mix. Mix. Mix means put together to form one substance or mass. Put together to form one substance or mass. For example, peppercorns are sometimes mixed with other spices for a table condiment. Peppercorns are sometimes mixed with other spices for a table condiment. Model. Model. Model means fashion in malleable material. Fashion in malleable material. For example, use the icing to model a house. Use the icing to model a house. Modify. Modify. Modify means make small changes to. Make small changes to. For example, she may be prepared to modify her views. She may be prepared to modify her views. Monitor. Monitor. Monitor means observe and check quality over time. Observe and check quality over time. For example, equipment was installed to monitor air quality. Equipment was installed to monitor air quality. Motivate. Motivate. Motivate means provide someone with motive for doing something. Provide someone with motive for doing something. For example, he was primarily motivated by the desire for profit. He was primarily motivated by the desire for profit. Mount. Mount. Mount means climb up stairs, hill, etc. Climb up stairs, hill, etc. For example, he mounted the steps to the front door. He mounted the steps to the front door. Multiply. Multiply. Multiply means add number to itself specified number of times. Add number to itself specified number of times. For example, I asked you to multiply 14 by 19. I asked you to multiply 14 by 19. Murder. Murder. Murder means kill someone unlawfully. Kill someone unlawfully. For example, somebody tried to murder Joe. Somebody tried to murder Joe. Narrow. Narrow. Narrow means become or make narrow. Become or make narrow. For example, the road narrowed and crossed an old bridge. The road narrowed and crossed an old bridge. Note. Note. Note means notice or pay attention to. Notice or pay attention to. For example, noting his mother's unusual gaiety. Noting his mother's unusual gaiety. Obey. Obey. Obey means submit to authority of someone or comply with. Submit to authority of someone or comply with. For example, I always obey my father. I always obey my father. Observe. Observe. Observe means notice and register as significant. Notice and register as significant. For example, young people observe that decisions are made by others. Young people observe that decisions are made by others. Occur. Occur. Occur means happen. Happen. For example, the accident occurred at about 3:30 p.m. The accident occurred at about 3:30 p.m. Offend. Offend. Offend means cause to feel upset or annoyed. Cause to feel upset or annoyed. For example, viewers said they had been offended by bad language. Viewers said they had been offended by bad language. Operate. Operate. Operate means control functioning of. Control functioning of. For example, a shortage of workers to operate new machines. A shortage of workers to operate new machines. Oppose. Oppose. Oppose means disagree with and attempt to prevent. Disagree with and attempt to prevent. For example, those of you who oppose capital punishment. Those of you who oppose capital punishment. Outline. Outline. Outline means draw or define outer edge of. Draw or define outer edge of. For example, her large eyes were darkly outlined with eyeliner. Her large eyes were darkly outlined with eyeliner. Overcome. Overcome. Overcome means succeed in dealing with. Succeed in dealing with. For example, she worked hard to overcome her paralyzing shyness. She worked hard to overcome her paralyzing shyness. Owe. Owe. Owe means have obligation to pay money in return for something. Have obligation to pay money in return for something. For example, they have denied they owe money to the company. They have denied they owe money to the company. Pace. Pace. Pace means walk at steady speed. Walk at steady speed. For example, We paced up and down in exasperation. We paced up and down in exasperation. Package. Package. Package means put into box or wrapping. Put into box or wrapping. For example, choose products that are packaged in recyclable materials. Choose products that are packaged in recyclable materials. Pause. Pause. Pause means interrupt action or speech briefly. Interrupt action or speech briefly. For example, she paused, at a loss for words. She paused, at a loss for words. Perceive. Perceive. Perceive means become aware or conscious of. Become aware or conscious of. For example, his mouth fell open as he perceived the truth. His mouth fell open as he perceived the truth. Permit. Permit. Permit means allow to do something. Allow to do something. For example, the law permits councils to monitor any factory emitting smoke. The law permits councils to monitor any factory emitting smoke. Persuade. Persuade. Persuade means induce someone to do something through reasoning or argument. Induce someone to do something through reasoning or argument. For example, it wasn't easy, but I persuaded him to do the right thing. It wasn't easy, but I persuaded him to do the right thing. Picture. Picture. Picture means represent in picture. Represent in picture. For example, he is pictured with party guests. He is pictured with party guests. Pile. Pile. Pile means place things on top of one another. Place things on top of one another. For example, she piled all the groceries on the counter. She piled all the groceries on the counter. Pin. Pin. Pin means attach with pin. Attach with pin. For example, her hair was pinned back. Her hair was pinned back.
Great! Watch again, practice the sound, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.